Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Okay, so here's a photo of I'm assuming this is you. Um so it's a young shot. Your hair is super long.
Mhm.
You're wearing what looks to be a sort of relatively traditional Indian,
Really?
would you say?
I don't know. I'm
Is
trying
this
to see. I don't know what it is. Wait, hold on. I have to check.
it's not quite a sari, but it's red and there's like some gold because we don't normally see a lot of gold in more Western
Right?
clothing. But there's yes. You look like you're about how old were you at the time?
9, I think, or 10,
9. Okay, right.
8, 9, 10, somewhere there. I was very
Look,
unhappy. I didn't want to be. I still date till date. I don't like taking photos, and
okay,
that was evident in that picture. I was like,
okay, yeah,
no, I don't want to be in the photo.
yeah. Well, you're looking right into the camera. Your face is very neutral.
Yeah,
It's a great portrait in the sense that it's very kind of honest and unaffected. Like you're just looking very
yeah,
neutrally at the whoever it is photographing. You're not impressed.
yeah. It's a friend's dad,
Okay.
and he is a photographer by hobby.
Okay.
And for the longest time, he kept telling my mom that he wanted to take photos of me, and I kept saying no.
Sure.
And they kept insisting, and I'm like, "Oh my god, you guys are such a pain."
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, I had to give in, and it was the whole works, like going to his studio and changing clothes, and everything was in I think mostly in Indian outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just wasn't the kind of girl who wanted to dress up and who wanted to look
Yeah.
good and who wanted to be in front of the camera. Like that wasn't me at all.
Right.
So I was kind of like pissy. So that's why that picture is me not smiling. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna smile.
Right. So why include this one in your
Um,
curation?
because I see a lot of similarities between that girl and me today. Like it takes how do I say it? Like I was naive and I keep getting told I'm naive. Like not naive in a like I don't know what's going on way, but maybe because I'm so despite knowing how difficult something can be. Like for example, right now my aim is to really change the narrative in India about how men are treating women and how relationships work because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of issues in India. And so
Yeah.
that's a huge task to take on.
Yeah.
And people are like, come on, do you know India? Do you know how
If
often people are getting raped? And da, 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 da. Do you know how unsafe it
uh
is? And the story goes on, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. And Gandhi was one person. So
yeah.
what do like I mean, it's not I'm not aware. But so that
Yeah.
I feel that that picture of me when I'm little was it's like I'm stubborn because I refuse to smile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to give in, but I have to give in. And in the
Right.
same way, I'm stubborn even now.
Mm-hmm.
I know what my purpose is, and nothing's going to derail me.
Right.
So
Now, Karina, I'm going to derail you for just 1 second because this is how the podcast works where I get super excited and I get super motivated and I get super inspired and hopefully that will translate somehow. Okay, now I just watched a documentary last night
Mhm.
called The Rescue, and
Okay.
it's about the how there are these kids in Thailand, like a young soccer team called the Wild Boars, got
Hmm.
stuck in a tunnel about like 1 or 2 kilometers in a tunnel while it started flooding, and
Hmm.
then they had to rescue them. So they brought in literally like I think there were 5,000 Thais. It took 2 weeks or whatever to get them out,
Wow.
and it was in the middle of a monsoon. It was the middle of like it was basically an impossible thing to do, and ultimately the people who saved the kids were these cave divers. And it's
Mm.
an incredible story. Cave divers from all over the world flew in, were
Wow.
so
That's
inspired. It's an amazing
wow.
documentary. Now here's the thing: the reason why I'm connecting these dots.
Hmm.
At one point, The people are saying, like, some of the people trying to sort out how they rescue these kids, and I'm not going to spoil it because it'll blow your mind, said, well, look, it's impossible. We can't do it. Like, there's just no way to save those kids.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
there's literally 2 kilometers of submerged, tight caves to get these kids out. And
right.
then, yeah, and then one guy, he says, well, okay, we can't do it. What does impossible look like?
Mm,
And so today, I was so motivated by that phrase. Like, I was thinking about like climate change. And in
mm,
my mind, I was like, what does impossible look like? And that's what
mhm,
we need to do. And so
mhm,
then you're telling me about changing the narrative of how males and females, men and women interact in India, and
mhm.
it's impossible. But what does impossible look like? And that's what you're talking about. And it's amazing to me. What convergence? I love it.
Yeah, and I think I don't I it's like, we most of us get scared of what seems like too big of a task to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't aim for high, we might, at least we will get somewhere close enough, right? And the
Yeah.
idea is you don't stop aiming just because it's too big of a task, because then you're selling yourself short. I'm
Yeah.
okay if I just, at the end of it, if I'm, by the time I'm done with my life and I was only able to inspire and change one city in India, that's cool. But I'm allowed to still aim for changing the whole nation, if be it the entire brown population in the world. Why not? I've got nothing to lose to aim high.
Yeah. I
So
am so behind you.
yeah, thank you.
You have only one life. How are you going to make every second count, right? That's the podcast
Exactly.
question.
At least for me, I believe that the life is given to me. Like, I was telling my agent this morning, it's no coincidence that I came out being okay. Meaning anyone who goes through, not anyone, but a lot of people who go through the depth of what I've gone through, it's very unlikely that they'll be able to still hold it together, let alone
Right.
have this crazy ass vision that I do.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I do it, for me, it only propels me to do something with it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, then it's like I don't feel like all of that happened to me is just for me, and then I've learned all these lessons and I just live my merry life. No,
Mm,
I don't think that's what it is. Because if we don't
mm.
share what we have experienced and learned, then what good is this life?
Wow.
So, yeah,
Okay.
that's just my ethos.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's an amazing thing to sit and face, like through audio with you. And as you're telling me this, there's this like 10 or 11 or 9-year old girl looking at me with like, it's a really good choice to include
Yeah,
because it's an arresting portrait in the sense of it's like the subject of the photo is with full agency looking at the viewer saying, okay, what the fuck, man? Like, what are you looking at?
exactly. Exactly. That's my whole point. It's like, you know what? Bring it on. I ain't scared of you.
Wow.
And that's the kind of mindset I have. I mean, of course, I have days when I'm just like, oh my God,
Sure.
I
We're
want to
human.
sleep it off because this is insane. This is difficult,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Whatever. But it doesn't, it only, the pause only allows me to reflect on how can I change what I'm doing so it can reach the audience I need it to reach.
Okay. So here we have somebody who's listening to this and
Mm-hmm.
hears themselves in what you're saying,
Sure.
and they haven't addressed it through therapy. They haven't sort of faced that demon with that kind of intensity that you, for whatever reason in your chemistry, you happen to have.
Mm-hmm.
How would you incite or inspire or address them?
So it depends on what they have faced, right?
Yeah.
Because different levels of trauma get manifested into your present life when they are undealt with. So you
Hmm.
cannot ignore any pain that is still causing you issues today, because it's going to sort of hold you back from living your life. So I think the first step is really acknowledging whatever it is that's holding you back. What are these wounds that you haven't addressed? And you
Mm,
have to be able to look at it. So sometimes it helps to have a therapist.
mm.
But if you're able to work through it on your own, whether it's through journaling, whether it's through self reflection, yeah, then you got to
Okay.
do that, but you can't just pretend it doesn't exist, because
No, of course.
yeah, because it doesn't, it comes and bites you in the ass later.
So is that pretending that it doesn't exist a kind of defensive denial that is I suspect it's quite common,
It is
natural.
coping strategy,
Yeah,
because if I can quote unquote be too busy, then I can just put it aside, right? I won't
that
have to
sounds
think
very
about
Hong Kong.
it. Right, exactly. And so if I'm just consumed with work, then it doesn't exist.
Right.
But when you're not working and when you're sitting down watching TV, and people do that, right? They work, watch TV, go out, but when they're in bed, and how they sleep and the quality of sleep, and then
Yeah.
eventually their quality of their life, i.e. their health
Mm,
and their state of mind and their mood and their energy, all
yeah.
reflects on how much pain they're carrying.
Mm,
So they have to really take an honest look at themselves. And most people don't want to, because it takes a lot of guts. And I know it's
sure.
hard, because to be really brave to look at yourself and go, you know what, I'm still not okay.
Mm,
But I'm okay that I'm not okay, but I'll do what it takes to get better.
right. That's one tough kid. Amazing.
Yeah, I was stubborn. That's what my grandma always said. You're so stubborn. You don't listen to anyone. Yeah, I don't. It's not like I don't. I think I know what I want, but I'm very accommodating to people, that's for sure. But I think that's
Sure.
something I've learned over time. I think stubborn has a really negative connotation. It just means, I think it's more about being determined,
Right.
and I think that's what
Let's move on to the next photo and
it.
key because I'm just fascinated, a little kind of intimidated,
Oh, please
and
don't.
no, it's fine. These are just it's like wanting to yawn or whatever. It's just a feeling. It's fine. But not that I want to yawn, but I'm just saying it's just a biotic sort of response. But let's move on to the next photo.
Sure.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.